What is up, everybody? I am your ultraviolent siren and your favorite indie hype girl, Kakeface Karleee, and welcome to another episode of X Brand Unleash. This is episode 21, and I can't believe we've made it this far, and we're just going to keep going and going. But today is a very special episode, a very unique episode. I've had, wrestlers, I've had promoters, but today we're actually getting someone that's been a little more behind the scenes of with wrestling and deathmatch, and I'm really excited. So, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Stevie Ross. How are you?
What's up, y'all? What's up?
How are you doing today?
I'm good. I can't complain.
That's good. Well, thank you so much for coming on here. I'm excited to get to know you more and see how you got, behind the scenes and everything. I kind of wanted to start with, how you became a wrestling fan in the first place. When did you start watching? How old were you? What was like that highlighted moment that made you a wrestling fan?
Well, I was born in '86, so in the '90s, watched a lot of WCW, and that's kind of what started it. Watched a lot of WWF during the Attitude Era as well, and of course ECW back then. Because I remember one of my best friends growing up, his mom used to run tape rental, and they would get the ECW tapes. And
Cool.
Watching that shit growing up, yeah. So that's kind of where it started, And my stepdad had a love for wrestling as well, the good Georgia Championship wrestling, old school shit, good old boy stuff.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah.
Did you have a favorite between like the three promotions, WCW, WWF, and ECW?
WCW for sure.
Same. Yeah. Same. I was a WCW kid growing up through and through. Who were some of your favorites when you started watching that?
Of course, Vader, when he wrestled for both WCW and WWF. Mm-hmm. I love that match with him and Cactus Jack. I mean, who doesn't love that match, right? That's great.
Of course.
Big Papa Pump, which back then he was just Scott Steiner. Him and the Steiner brothers. Love those guys. Let's see, who else? And honestly, I love the whole initial NWO story with the Outsiders. Scott Hall, Kevin Nash. Who doesn't love those guys, right?
Of course. Very cool. So, of course, you mentioned ECW. Was that like your introduction to ultraviolence, or when did you sort of after that, like what did you kind of discover, like deathmatch and stuff?
For sure, it started with ECW like most people, and then discovered CZW, of course, and in the '90s, I think later '90s, heard of FMW overseas.
And when you started watching them, who were some of your favorites of within the deathmatch scene?
Well, like I said early on, Cactus Jack, just with his hardcore stuff. Yeah. But just with deathmatch, obviously John Zandig, CZW, Nick Mondo, of course, all his matches are classic.
Oh, hell yeah.
Of course. I always had a soft spot for Sandman just because of his character, this, beard guzzling degenerate,
I love that. So when did you start going to shows? Because I've seen your face pretty much everywhere. How old were you started going to shows?
I started going to Loco in 2023, actually. Okay. So about 3 or 4 years ago, I went to a show. It was called "Who Called the Cops," which is pretty funny given the nature of deathmatch and some of the things that go on behind the scenes.
Right.
Sure, X-Ray knows all about that.
Oh yeah. Unfortunately.
Yeah.
So was that some of the first shows you went to?
It was some of the first shows down in Houston I went to. Yeah.
Okay.
I remember. I'll never forget. Huh?
Well, I was gonna say, what about prior to that? But go ahead.
Oh yeah, I'd been to some house shows like WWE and stuff like that, but never any real independent stuff until then.
That's
I
awesome.
was gonna say I remember seeing Sam Stackhouse and Papa Dingo in kind of like a deathmatch light, and that was the first time seeing that live. That kind of changed the game for me.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So, from the shows that you have been to and everything, do you have a preference between like watching more of like deathmatch adjacent type of shows or more of just like a collective type of show?
I don't mind. I don't mind the show that's just regular wrestling or like something sprinkled in some hardcore matches with a main
Mhm.
event death match. Those shows are great. But having gone to some of the bigger death match shows, like traveling for it, it's hard to beat.
Yeah, absolutely. So, one of the things when I was sort of like introduced to you, like, I was like, wow, this dude's kind of a big deal. Like, he's does a lot of like the behind the scene type of stuff and everything. What kind of got you into that? Like, how did that all start?
I know the exact moment. It was when CZW came to town for I think it was Pi Slamma Jamma, and there was a main event of a death match, and it was I believe Tarzan Duran and Dmitry Alexandrov, and I ended up doing weapons, and that's when I just fell in love with it. I was like, this is so much fun being behind the scenes and getting to participate, and we got to see those guys use all the stuff in the ring. I mean, look, I love CZW, but I think they must have drawn like 40 people, something like that. But it was still fun. We had a good time, me and the boys.
And that from there, you just kind of blossom of you wanting to do it more and more. That's so cool.
Pretty much
So
every show
for
from then on.
so for people who don't maybe like understand what all you do, like when you say like you do the weapons and stuff like that, what are all the things that you kind of do behind the scenes?
Me and a bunch of guys for Loco will help sponsor, uh, drive people to the airport. I've done that. I know Zach does that a lot. Um, just helping out. I remember what was the last show? We ended up sweeping up all the glass at the HPA because I mean, Jaime needs help, and I'm not going to tell him no. Do whatever we
Right.
can to help. You know, we want to because we want to see more of this going forward. You got to help out. You got to do what you can.
100%. So, um, some of the things that I've seen you do is like, kind of like get, set up weapons for each match and stuff like that.
Oh
Um,
yeah, run the ring crew, kind of. You know,
okay, cool.
drunken
Have,
stoned ring.
wait, what?
Said the drunken stoned ring crew.
Right.
Okay.
So, have you ever had like any type of like, either maybe like light tubes break on you or any type of like accidental thing where you've gotten fucked up during setting up?
Yeah, I've fucked up plenty. I've broken glass on me. I've broken tubes on me. I've got thumbtacks stuck in me. Just it's one of the dangers of working deathmatch adjacent, right? It could
Oh
happen,
yeah,
and
definitely.
no, there's nothing. There's no worse feeling than breaking a gimmick that the guys are going to use. You're like, fuck. Because believe it or not, tempered glass sometimes it just fucking shatters.
Oh yeah,
You can look at it wrong sometimes.
most definitely. Has there been a time where a gimmick has been broken or whatever, and one of the guys has been like pissed off, like, hey, what the fuck, like,
Usually everybody's pretty understanding. Shit happens. We just correct course and move on. Improvise. A lot of improvising.
ooh, sorry about that.
Get a camera down.
Oh, I'm sorry. Gonna go ahead and continue.
Oh yeah, but no, these guys are very understanding if something like that happens. Shit happens, like they say. You know, what are you gonna do?
So, what are some of your favorite things to like set up when you're doing? like setting up gimmicks or ring crew, or what's your favorite part of it?
Personally, one thing I love doing is putting the tubes on the ropes with some rubber bands. That's because it always looks really cool. I remember one of the first shows I seen that was an XPW show, and they put tubes all the way around the ring. I was like, man, it's cool the way they pop. When you're standing ringside.
Oh, I love that. It's
Yeah.
like I remember when you set it up for the show at the HPA with Danny Darko and Mickey Knuckles. Like
Oh yeah,
that
you're
was
setting up
just
the skinny tubes, which was sketch because I believe that's how Nick Gage got hurt with skinny tubes on the ropes like that. So
yes.
yeah.
That is crazy. So you do a lot of like the ring crew and stuff for Loco. Are there any other companies that you would or promotions that you would love to do that for?
Um, I mean, yeah, I've kind of helped with Seven before. When we went to Indianapolis, we were setting up the concrete canvas, and I was like, helping, hand stones over to the ring crew. But yeah, I mean, I'd help anybody who needs it. As far as a deathmatch company, whether it's GCW, CZW, X Brand, you know, any of
Justin, you're hearing that.
them.
So thinking back, like what do you think was maybe so far like your favorite show that you've helped out with?
Hmm. I guess recently, No Ring No Masters 5, but I mean, overall, I still have a soft spot for that CZW show because that was like, and shout out to the twins, the Ramos twins, kind of showing me behind the scenes, like how it works, and Nick as well. He kind of smartened me up.
That's awesome. So one of the things you mentioned earlier was like having to pick up people from the airport.
Hmm.
Who's been your favorite person that you've had to pick up from the airport? And do you have any other any crazy stories from picking up someone from the airport?
Well, I mean, it's all been pretty lackluster. Just pick somebody up or drop them off.
Right.
Yeah, but as far as behind the scenes, some of my favorite interactions would be with Akira. That
Oh,
guy is awesome.
oh, he is just a gem of a guy.
Yep, for sure. Yeah, heartbroken he quit doing deathmatch, but who knows? Never say never, right?
That is true. That is absolutely true. So, as a deathmatch fan, do you have any dream matches that you would love to see?
Well, right now, with Nino getting the push he's getting, I would like to see him against Necro Butcher.
Oh my
I think that
god.
would be
That
dope.
would be so fire.
Yeah, especially with that old school style that Nino has, and I mean, who's more old school than Necro? Yeah,
Oh, for sure. Neo's getting such a great pop right now, and it's so well deserved. I mean, he is such a talented kid.
100%. Love to see it.
So, I would like to know who are your Mount Rushmore for two different categories here, for like your standard style of wrestling and your deathmatch Mount Rushmore.
Hmm. Let's see. So for regular wrestling, I would pick Big Van Vader, of course. Vader's going to be on my Mount Rushmore. I got a soft spot for Sid, even though maybe not the best worker there ever was. He just had that look, and I loved his work as Lord Humongous, his work as Psycho Sid, Sid Justice, all that. He's great. Um, let's see who else. Um, Obviously Stone Cold for the same reason I like Sandman, just this asshole who drinks beer. He's like kind of just an everyman, and
Right.
and I and I would say Mick Foley, even though Mick Foley would also kind of fall under the death match Mount Rushmore as well, but he did a lot of
Right.
great just regular wrestling matches as well. One of the greatest workers in my opinion. Um, but like if we had to go like pure death match, um, I was a king of the death match in Indiana. I got to have lunch with Arrow Boy, and man, I have a
Ooh,
soft yeah, I have a soft spot in my heart for Arrow Boy. That he's just a great luchador, a great lucha extrema star. He would definitely be up there on that mountain. Um, let's see, of course, Sick Nick Mondo. Even though he had a short run, some of his matches just legendary. Uh,
I agree.
yeah. Um, as far as newer stars, a little Sicko. I've seen Sicko probably 5 or 6 times now, and every time he never disappoints. Kid is crazy as shit. I love to see it. Yeah, and obviously, once again going back, Cactus Jack, bang bang.
Of course. So, as a deathmatch fan, what is your like favorite weapon that you like to see them use? Favorite gimmick?
I fell in love with the proper bat,
Ooh,
and
yes.
yeah, at ICW 74, 75, went to Chattanooga, saw Danny do his thing, and I remember I think I hate artist had made a popper bat, and he just like double coated the some bitch in poppers. And whenever he hit Anakin Murphy in the head with it, his head was fucking smoking. I remember the smoke coming off his head. I was just like, dude. So I definitely got a soft spot for popper bats. So I usually make one every show that we do. Try and
Oh, I
you know
love that.
shoot one in there. Yeah.
Very cool. So, I would like to know, what does deathmatch wrestling in general mean to you?
What does it mean to me?
Mhm.
Um, I think it's the ultimate expression of wrestling because they really put their bodies on the line more so than any regular wrestling match would ever. They put their bodies on the line for our entertainment and for believability and just sometimes just for the sake of violence. And you gotta love that.
That's a very good answer. Very good answer. I love that. So, I also wanted to take time to get to know you outside of the wrestling thing. I do this with everybody. I would like to know, um, what are some of your favorite movies that you like to watch?
Oh man, Silence of the Lambs.
Oh,
I have
that's
the
a
Criterion.
good one.
Yeah, I have the Buffalo Bill tattoo. Uh,
Really? No fucking way. That's amazing.
yeah, I love that movie. Uh, let's see. There was a time where I would watch The Departed like every day. I love that movie. It's great.
Really?
Yeah,
Okay.
they're my favorites. Got a soft spot for like spy and cop movies. So that's one
Okay.
of my favorites. Yeah.
Very good. And so, like, what do you think, like, your favorite genre would be of, like, movie? Like, with the whole
Uh,
spy thing, or?
I would say horror probably. Yeah.
Nice.
I recently watched Phantoms with Ben Affleck, and Ben Affleck was the bomb. In fact, in Phantoms for sure.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So, what would be some of, like, your favorite artists or, like, bands that you like to listen to?
Let's see. Favorite artists, bands. I would say definitely a lot of punk. There for a while, I was like following Days and Days. Like any show they did, I
Okay.
would go to. A lot of folk punk, a lot of punk rock. The Misfits, stuff like that. Um, in the '90s, growing up, we were skater punks, and so I still have a soft spot for bands from Houston, like the Real McCoys, Fusca, um, just a lot of homegrown Houston bands.
I love that. Very good answer. Do you have a favorite snack, whether it be sweet or savory? And if you're not a snack person, what is your favorite food?
Haribo gummy bears.
Ooh,
I should not. There was a time where I ate one bag of gummy bears every day.
That's awesome. Do you have a favorite flavor of gummy bear?
The so it's hard to get them, but the Haribo watermelons, oh, they're so fucking good.
Ooh,
Used to be able to get them at Five Below. I haven't seen them in forever, but yeah, and pretty much that's
that is a
watermelon. Yeah,
solid choice.
they're good.
I agree with that. It depends like with the candies and stuff like that because sometimes the watermelon is just too extreme or it's just like way too artificial. But I feel like those gummy bears got it right for sure, for
Oh yeah.
sure. So if there's anyone trying to do any type of behind the scene work like you're doing and like helping out with gimmicks and everything, what is some advice that you would give someone?
I would say look around, see what other people are doing, right? Emulate that, and that's outside of the little group at your local shows. Look globally or from coast to coast, see what other people are doing. Try and emulate that. I mean, there's nothing wrong with just emulating what other people are doing and building off of that work. Ask questions, don't have an ego about it, and be able to be smartened up because sometimes you're wrong.
I think a
Um,
lot of people need to hear that.
yeah, if you think something is tempered glass, test it. If you don't fucking know, find out because you know I've seen mistakes be made with annealed glass. Look like it was tempered, but there's no stamp. It's hard to know. You got to test it.
How does one test it, if you don't mind me asking?
So if you got a batch of glass and you don't know it's tempered, break one of them. It is probably the easiest way. But like I said, you could make a mistake. It could be a mixed batch of annealed and tempered glass. Sometimes it's hard to tell. It's very hard to tell.
That's amazing. That is a lot of great advice. And, I thank you for that. This is such a great insight of, you know, what goes on before the bell starts and after the bell ends. And, that there's more to it than just that. And I really thank you for coming on here. You have just been incredible. And, I love you.
Oh, I love you too, baby.
Love you always, baby. Calm down, Quaz, if you see this. Quit making it seem like we're actually a thing. But I would love for you to take the time and tell everyone where they can find you on social media and what are some shows that you'll be going to next.
I'm on Instagram at LrodZZFug. That's me, baby. Next show I think it's gonna be Loco here coming up in April. Go to Loco Bud Smokers Only, uh,
Hey,
the legendary White Swan in Houston, Texas. Yeah, I believe we're gonna have some good. They're gonna have some good matches. Excited to see Nino in action again against Primo Cub, which is good because we've come full circle. I remember the first match that I ever seen Nino in was in the backyard with Primo Cub. Now they're doing it on the main stage at Loco Wrestling. You gotta love it.
what a beautiful thing. Again, Stevie, thank you so much for coming on here. And of course, as for me, you guys, you can find me on TikTok, Kakeface_Karleee, and Instagram, Kakeface_Karleee, Cake 2.0, and here on YouTube at X Brand Wrestling's YouTube channel. And thank you so much again. But until next time, okay, thanks, bye.